So which one is this? Okay, that's the wrong class. Polls. Let's look at the responses. There we go. Now I don't know what order it was originally doing it in. Let's assume it was done by... How was it originally done? So the last thing we did was socialism. And the one we did right before that was the Las Vegas shooting. Those were wildly submitted at different times. What was the order originally? Was it giving it to me at random? That sucks. I wonder what that means. Interesting. Okay. Nah. We're good. So we'll go back here. Go back there. I smell a restaurant. Does that smell a restaurant? It smells like... It smells like going to one of those buffet restaurants that has Chinese food on the buffet, but it's not a Chinese food restaurant. Somebody smell that? Also, we have some seafood options. Nobody smelling this? That must be crazy. I mean, you probably already knew that, but that doesn't sound like a surprise. Let's hook this up. That's the sound of things being hooked up. Go to our class. And remind everybody that we did the sign up for the grading conference times the last time. Anybody who did not get the sign up? Anybody not get to sign up for the grading conference times last time? Johnny, anybody else? Everybody else saw the sheet? Okay. So the way this works is there's only 2 slots left to sign up for. But on the slots, basically this day of class, Monday, October 21st, everybody's meeting with me only for 3 minutes. I hope people looked at the date. I'm wondering if we have a lot of people gone today because they thought this was the day. Like if people were going to start trickling in slowly.
I thought of that. I was like,
yeah, because that's one of the reasons I said to take a picture. Because the grade conference official day is week 9, day 1. So basically what you do is you'll sign up for, Johnny, either 1021 or 1027. And that's the only 3-minute period you'll be required to come to class that day on Monday, October 21st. So, yeah. You'll pick one. In fact, you can just tell me, which time do you want, 1021 or 1027? Day you would be in class anyway. It literally is during this class, huh? Yeah, October 21st. Yeah. So, well, yeah, 10:21 a.m. or 10:27 a.m. There's a 6-minute difference. A.m. They're both a.m. Do you want it 10:20? Do you want to be here at 10:21 or 6 minutes later at 10:27? It's 10:21. Okay, let's get it out of the way. Rip the Band-Aid off, right? Because I mean, there's no reason for me to take it over there to you if there's only got 2 options and they're 6 minutes apart. That's it. So if anybody wants to write that down, or you can take a picture after class if you forgot to last time, but I suggest taking a picture of the sheet. That way, too, if you have friends in the class, you can remind them what their time is. But so basically on October 21st, you're only going to come at 10:21 a.m. That's it. And then you'll be out of here in 3 minutes because I'll give you a sheet that has your grades. We'll say, hey, this is what you turned in. This is what you haven't. Here's what you still need to turn in. The students who haven't turned much in won't come. So you'll have time to talk to me if you want to. That usually happens. I don't know, people think that I know or care that people haven't turned in stuff yet. Like, literally, I can look at this whole room right now and have no idea who has or hasn't turned in stuff. No idea. Like, I know who you are by your face, but when I grade papers, I don't really pay attention to what name it is. Sometimes, maybe. Sometimes, maybe. Yeah, Tim, you got a chance to sign up for this, didn't you? Yeah. But sometimes, maybe I'll remember a name, but I usually don't even look at the name when I'm grading. It's just, I grade. So students often think when they show up that, I mean, students even have said like, well, that was a lot more painless than I thought it was going to be, considering the fact that I hadn't turned in any essays. And I'm like, I know, right? I just said, oh, looks like you haven't turned in any essays. Make sure you do that. See you next time. That's it. Just got to do it. They're like, oh, okay. And then the ones who don't come, they just kind of never get that reassurance that you're still okay. It's still okay. So just letting you know. That's that. It says we're going to discuss reading critically and thinking critically, but generally speaking, that's kind of a filler line that I have for this day, because we generally continue what we did the last time, which is me talking about events and what will and what won't work. So I'm going to continue to go through that list. Weirdly, the list is not in the same order when I go look at just the list by itself as it was. Remember how it restarted it? I wanted to make sure I didn't restart it, because then everybody had to enter their stuff again. So I just went to the list of responses, because I found that option. And the list of responses looks like this, and it's in order by the time it was received. So it makes me wonder, because the very last thing we did was socialism before we left, but Las Vegas shooting was right before that, and that was one of the second thing that was put on there. So I don't know what order it was putting things on there on the when it was showing us live. I have no idea. It just was doing it. That's fun, right? It just made up an order. I guess at random.
I think probably made up an order since they're all the same minutes.
If I had to guess, well, I mean, the thing is, it may be the same minute here, but the socialism person was up there, 10:14. So it's at least a 3-minute difference. I mean, it knows when people submitted. I'm guessing that Web 805 FA. What's the socialism one? When F9? That makes no sense either. Nope. No idea. No clue at all. Wait, is it going by some people did the web submission and some people did an activated multi-page survey, which I don't even know what that means? No, I don't know. No idea. So dumb. So rather than talk about this for forever, we're just going to get back to it. And I'll probably just go in order from the bottom to the top. Actually, why don't I just reverse it? That way I can just scroll down. Received at. Oh, is this the only one I can't change the order? So 9/11 Las Vegas. We did 9/11, right? We talked about 9/11? Because I know I did at least one class. Okay. Does there any questions, actually, before we continue on with what we were doing last time? I may come to ones people had asked me about after class, because you wanted to make sure you could go ahead and start researching it. But for other people who might want that idea too, I want to make that. Because here's the great thing about this paper is maybe on cause effect, there's a possibility you could have been compared to the other 25 people who wrote about school shootings. Because if I at one point see a really good school shooting paper, I'm like, wow, that was really good. And then every school shooting paper after that, I might remember the really good reasons from the first one, and go, this isn't as good. It's just I'm kind of doing this unfair comparison thing, but it's I can't forget the good reasons I saw. And by the way, I'm still grading those, so I'm still. I mean, I think y'all are all done, aren't they? I think for the most part, y'all are done. Yeah. So I forget what I just said. This paper's not due till Tuesday, by the way. This particular paper, it's very unlikely two people are going to have the exact same articles, because you're going to have two people writing two different articles about the same news event, and you're comparing and contrasting how they're writing about that same event but differently. This guy chose this detail, but this guy did not. And so it's going to be very unlikely that I'll end up being able to compare anybody's essays to each other, because nobody's going to have written on the exact same two articles. That'd be very unlikely. Yes?
When we're comparing these articles, can we put our opinions
On the event itself.
Yeah, like can we just like put in our opinion of what we think should have happened?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I don't. This is not a paper for your opinions. In fact, I'm trying to get us to think almost more objectively minded, more scientifically minded. I know it sounds weird to say scientifically, but like we really should almost approach it like it's a science experiment, where we're literally just saying like, I mean, we could literally be like comparing like two articles on like, I mean, we can't do this because it's outside the time requirement, but like two people talking about the Holocaust. And literally in that paper, I would want nobody to say whether or not they think the Holocaust is bad. Like that should never come out of anybody's like fingers when you're typing, because kind of our personal opinions on the topic is somewhat irrelevant to the paper, because all we really have to know from the writer is in what ways do the articles differ, and why are those differences there? Why did one writer choose to write about this as opposed to that? And it may be because of the author themselves and their background. It might be because of the sponsor, where the paper is published, who funds that paper, who they published that paper for. So I do encourage everybody to develop opinions based on the newspaper articles that you do read. But your opinions on what has happened in that particular scenario aren't something I want to see in the paper. Like it basically, when I get done reading your essay, I should have no idea what your opinion is on the matter. I should only know how these two articles compare and why those comparisons exist. But that is an excellent question, because everybody always wants to talk about like, this shooter guy, he sucks. But it's like, it's almost like that's my test for you, is like, can you like not, it's like I want to say a lot of things, but I can't. Like, and that's sort of like part of the test, is like, can we be like that just purely critically thinking type individual for this one paper? Because on narrative essay, I've already got to see like, what are your opinions like? How do you, what's it like when you feel things? Cause effect, I got to see like, what is it like when you try to explain things and like how they work? And now this is like really stepping back. And the research paper will be basically similar, as the annotated bibliography will be. It's not that it's dispassionate writing. It's writing that has evidence. It's just purely evidence-minded. Like, what is in front of me? What do I say about it? Like, what I've always like thought that there's certain jobs I always thought would be really hard to do, because you essentially have to, you can't betray your opinions on things. Like I don't know, like a CPS investigator. I always thought that would be a really hard job. Like, you have a kid in front of you that's got tons and tons of like bruises all over their face, or like obvious like injuries from sexual manipulations of like their genitals. And you have to act as though you're not just completely pissed off and like the father's a monster, even though there's like 400 pieces of evidence that show that it was the father that did it. And you know that that's the case, but you still have to come in there. You have to write on your sheet. Or like being a cop too. Like the cop knows that somebody's done something horrible and they show up to the scene, but their job is to sit and write on a pad, not to freak out and punch the person in the face. Even though that's exactly what you maybe want to do. But that's kind of how we should all sort of approach the world, at least at first. Gather evidence. Don't assume somebody's guilty before gathering that evidence. Innocent until proven guilty. It's America. But it's just so tempting, right? You just want to, and even if they are proven guilty, it's like in this case, I'm like, they're guilty. Like you might be writing about, yeah, they're guilty. It's been proven in a court of law. This article includes this. This one doesn't include that. And so I get to the end of the paper and I should be like, I have no idea what your personal thoughts are on it. And I know it's hard to do, but that's what I'm looking for. It's kind of like that's part of the big test of this, is can we just talk about information without offering our opinion? It's a tough test. Luckily, we have people we talk to in our lives where we can definitely give our opinions, or shoot, go on the internet, right? That's where people like express their opinions. Find a website that has like just usernames and no actual like your face. It's great. Isn't that way? Instagram could be that way, right? Well, no, you can't really talk on Instagram, can you? Reddit? 4chan? Well, I don't go to 4chan. 4chan's scary. Don't go there. And there's like even worse ones too. Yeah, 4chan's like the dark place of the internet. That's where that's where incels roam free. Does anybody know what that is? Incel? People who call themselves involuntary celibates. Like, if a girl won't have sex with them, it's not because they're repulsive. It's because women are the problem. Women won't have sex with me. I'm a nice guy. Those are scary people. I'm not repulsive. Women make me involuntarily celibate. I would have sex, but women won't let me. I don't want to meet one of those people face to face. It's pretty scary. Just the thought of it. But that's 4chan's like a harbor for people like that. Like they're just like, come, bring us your poor, you're tired, you're sick, you're really sick, and we'll take care of you here. Let's see. So 9/11 Las Vegas shooting, we covered those. Stock market crash. Did we cover a stock market crash? I can't recall.
What you said about it has to be an event, like an actual event, not like what
Yes.
something that could happen.
Will happen in the future.
Will work, as long as it's actual one that did happen. Trump versus Clinton only doesn't work because I've outlawed it. Shooting of Botham Jean by Amber Geiger, who accidentally walked in the wrong apartment. I think we covered that. Definitely works. In all caps. I want to do mine over 9/11. Boom, already works. State Fair of Texas. I think we said only if there was some kind of controversy, because there's really no controversy. It costing a lot's not enough. Let's see. Now, ironically, there are some scenarios where costing a lot isn't controversial, but in some cases it is. Like when there was that time when the company that creates insulin suddenly increased the price of not insulin, the EpiPens. They increased the price of the EpiPens like 90% or something. It went from like what, $10 to like $900 or some crazy thing. I can't remember the actual amount, but that was something that happened one day in a place and a time where somebody raised the cost of an item, and that's really controversial because it's like we're valuing like profits for stockholders over human life. You know, that's something that becomes controversial. Versus, man, corn dogs are $6. Like that's not really, it sucks. But just don't go to the state fair if that's the case. Pulse shooting, we did that one, right?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, actually. I didn't know until I saw. I knew I did it in some class. So pulse nightclub shooting, yes. IDK, I'm not familiar with this one. I don't know what that one means. Oh wait, immigration, I already thought. Immigration, I think I told you all about this. As long as it's like the wall section of it being built, or like the congressman went to go visit the detention center, you can't talk about it as if it's just articles about the issue of immigration in America, or like, oh man, these camps are bad, right? It's got to be like something happened and then somebody's reporting on it. So like the congressman showed up and they toured the site, or Trump's added a new section of the wall, or they took money away from that middle school that was going to be built for military members to build a portion of the wall. You know that happened, right? Like it was a school that was going to get built for like military members' families, and they took the money away from that school. Like no more school be built. We're going to build part of the wall. Priorities. And the wall, the wall's not going to work. Great Wall of China is huge. That thing doesn't work, right? It's a fence. I mean, have you seen it? It's a fence. Like I have one. Cats climb over it. Like somebody highly motivated. I don't know. There's got to be better solutions. Education, charter schools, good versus bad. I think we covered that one. Is there had to be a law passed somewhere, or some event happens with one individual charter school for you to write about it, but it wouldn't really work otherwise. Legalization. Are we sure this isn't in order? Because this seems. Wait. Did I just reverse the order and suddenly I'm getting all the ones I've seen? What is happening? I don't know. But they're not in the right order. That's not the order we covered them originally. I don't know. Legalization of marijuana in Colorado. We talked about yes, because the day it was legalized, then you can talk about it. Not sure yet, nor am I. Amber Geiger and her sentence, talked about that one. Socialism, talked about that one. Nuclear weapons being held in North Korea. I don't think we did that one, did we? Are we finally at the point where we haven't talked about anything? Awesome. Well, I'm curious, how did Las Vegas shooting get all the way down at the bottom? Because it seems like almost everything else was in order. I don't know. So let's talk about, I got to figure out what that means. Let's see. Nuclear weapons being held in North Korea. Nuclear weapons being held in North Korea. Held?
Yeah, they have nuclear weapons.
Just the fact that they have them.
Yeah.
Okay. If we are just talking about the fact that they have them, that will not work, because that's more of an issue. But if there were satellite photos taken that showed activity that indicates they are still doing nuclear testing after the meeting with Trump, that will work, because that's an event. We found some satellite photos. It appears as though they're still moving on their nuclear sites, running things in and out of the cave. So that counts. That's a thing that took place on a day at a time. And in that article, of course, they're going to talk about what? Whether North Korea should still have nuclear weapons, what we should do about it. So you still get to kind of talk about your issue, not give your opinion on it, but you still get to talk about two people who are talking about your issue, but tying it to an event. Yes. And then Orlando nightclub shooting, that is the Pulse nightclub shooting, so we'll just confirm yes. IDK. Again, people with the IDK, I don't know. That's very interesting. I've never heard of this one.
It was on the morning news.
Let me see. IDK. I don't know what that is. IDK. Mysterious abbreviation. No one actually seems to know what it means.
Rapper, maybe, yeah.
Oh, it's got to be the rapper. So if something happened with the rapper, I guess. I don't know. Maybe. The key thing is I don't know. I don't know. Gotta learn more about it. President meets with NRA chief on gun bills. Yeah. Never heard of this, but sure. This will work. It's politics and gun control and would there be a possible extra controversy? Like, I don't really know. Like, is it normal for a president to meet with the head of the NRA? If it's normal, I mean that.
Well, the NRA is a lobby, so that indicates that there is cooperation between the lobby and the incumbent president of the United States. That could be confidential.
Did Bush meet with the head of the NRA, like in the White House, or Obama?
Man, with how many candidates are running on premise of gun control,
Yeah.
I feel like it would be an issue.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I get so definitely politics and gun control are going to be enough that I guess they'll talk about any ethical conflicts in the article. But to me, that's because it involves politics. Politics almost always are controversial because love it or hate it, it's politics.
Probably the definition of it.
Yeah. Let's see. Minimum wage. Will not work. However, if that's still caps, okay. If a state passes a minimum wage law, or I don't know what else could happen with minimum wage wise. What I'm not gonna say something like I was gonna say like let's say somebody commits suicide and leaves a ransom note that says that they did it because their minimum wage was so low and it hasn't changed in years. That wouldn't count. That's just one dude killing himself. I mean, he could kill himself for all number of reasons. And
Inflation happens because of it.
I don't know. Maybe, like even if inflation happened because that's somebody having a conjecture and it's not about an event. Now the only way is if a state passes a minimum wage law or there's a hearing about a possible one, because at least then there's a hearing. There's an event people are reporting on, like people saying what the effects of raising the minimum wage would be. But there's got to be an event. Dun, 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 dun. You don't get paid. Unemployed students versus employed students. I think I talked about this with somebody. Unemployed students versus employed students. Generally speaking, oh wait, this will not work. Generally speaking, if your possible topic contains, on this particular paper, if your possible topic, I know this sounds strange in a compare and contrast paper, but if your possible topic contains the idea of versus, it's likely not something you can write about. Because we're not really comparing two different sides of an issue in this paper. We're just comparing two articles that are writing about an event. What details did this one include? What details did this one include? What opinion did this one seem to express versus what opinion did this one seem to express? So it's not really going to be a situation where you're actually looking at both sides in sort of this head-to-head conflict kind of thing. You're looking at the same event written by two different people and what differences they have in their articles. So how could I make this work? Okay, so this is only tangentially related. Tangential. So you know what tangent is in math? Tangent. You've heard people say, "Oh, I'm going to go on a tangent," but this is a tangent. Tangent line in math. You know, it's a line that touches a circle only in one point. Unfortunately, I made this one touch in like 5 or 7. It's only meant to touch at like the very tippy point, and it keeps going. So when I say tangentially related, I mean like it's only just barely touching the relationship between the circle and the line. So this is only barely related, but California just passed a law that will allow college athletes to be paid for their, I don't know why I'm not thinking of a word for this. I was going to say services, but they're not serving anybody. Their sport, their work. I mean, what do you call it? What do you call it? Like people.
Ability for their brand.
Their what?
Their brand.
Their brand. I'm not thinking. What do you call, like, you know, you go to work? Like, you're like, oh, okay, I go to work. I'm working. Like, this is my work. I guess paid for their work. I guess this is, since they're essentially arguing that they're working and not just playing. What do you call it when like high school student athletes? Like when you say like I'm doing like my working out and my training and my playing the games. What do you call all that together? Is there a collective word for all the activities you do in the function of a high school athlete? What do they call it? My daughter's in band. How about work and contributions? I don't like the word. Don't like the word. That's the best I got. But California just passed a law that will allow college athletes to be paid for their work and contributions. Not just in scholarships and tuition. So they'll be able to be paid on top of getting like scholarships and tuition. Does that mean that California is going to start stealing a lot of players because people will be like, hey, I can get paid? I wonder if they're going to get like a lot of players now because they're like, I'm going to go there. I can get paid on top of. That's going to put a lot of pressure on other colleges and other like states, isn't it? Don't you think? Otherwise, like UCLA is just gonna start, because I mean, if you can just pay, and there's got to be a cap though, right? There's got to be like a cap, like salary caps, like they do for like like real teams.
Well, honestly, is the state mandating that they be paid, or is it the ability to be paid?
That I don't know. That would be discovered from reading the articles, because I only heard about it very briefly. But California just passed a law that allows college students to be paid, whether they are required to be paid on top of or they have the option to be paid in addition to. I don't know. I think there's actually, didn't you say something about brand? Hasn't there been like a rule against people being able to be associated with brands in their
shoe deals and stuff? So usually they can't get those, but now
Okay.
that they passed that, they can accept those.
So they can accept nowadays on the California. Okay, so they get their branding and the work that they do, they can be paid for. Oh, okay, that's cool. It's really neat. So let's see. Will work. Because it's something that happens involving student employment. The only other thing that I could think of that would involve, like, let's just say, like, I think what this is actually meaning is not students being employed at the school. I think what it's saying is students who work outside of the school. Like, let's say, I mean, almost all of you probably have some sort of job that you work and you come here. So I think this is asking, like, what is better for students to work and go to school or to just be in school? But that's more evaluating. I think that's more of a topic for like our research paper, because you would be trying to figure out what's the best method for positively affecting student success, being employed or not employed. And if it is to be unemployed, what do you do about that? Like, how do you get students to be able to take classes unemployed and still be able to survive? But that sounds like more of a research paper topic and less of a compare and contrast essay, because there's not going to be really an event tied to that idea. If you could think of an event that would be tied to that idea, an event, it would work. But it would have to be an event. And I can't think of one. That's why I'm very reticent being reluctant. Don't really want to go ahead and commit to that idea until I know what the event would be. Prostitution getting legalized. Will work, but only if it actually happened somewhere. Not talking about it possibly being legalized in Texas or something. Like somebody saying, like, oh, well, should we legalize prostitution in Texas? Like, that's not going to work as an event, because there's no event there. But if, I don't know, say California legalizes prostitution, there we go. Like, that works. Like, they legalize it on that day, you can do it. If you were listening, you had fun just then. Let's see. Measles outbreak, vaccination. Did we already do vaccination? I don't think we did. Oh gosh, stupid. I've combined two ideas. Measles outbreak as a result of lack of vaccinations. Will work. And I'm just going to put in parentheses, would.
We're seeing was because of vaccinations. I thought that was what the issue was.
Because of vaccination? Like vaccinations caused measles outbreaks?
That's what I thought.
Oh, no. No, the opposite was true. The problem that happened in California and also in Washington where they had that outbreak, or Oregon, was that too many people, there's a thing called herd immunity, where you have to have like 93 to 95% of people vaccinated in order to keep a disease at bay. And the problem is so many people have been taking those exemptions, I guess because of Jenny McCarthy and her autism website and how that just sort of trickled upward into society. But people are like taking so many exemptions now for various reasons. It used to just be religious and only a few people, but now people are just saying, I'm uncomfortable with like the mercury, or people shouldn't have stuff injected to them that young. or I've done my research, meaning you went to Google and you typed something in and you looked at a website that has no medical bearing. But that caused like the herd immunity to fall below like 92, 91%. And when that happens, instead of isolated single cases of measles, measles is able to spread amongst the non-vaccinated people, which endangers them. And a lot of people say, well, I mean, if I want my kid to die, that should be my right. The problem is there are some people who can't get vaccinations because they have weakened immune systems. Kids who've like had cancer, kids who have like leukemia, those kids cannot get vaccinations. So in deciding not to vaccinate your kid, you actually endanger other people's kids as well. So it's a little bit different. But yeah, the measles outbreak was totally because the exemption rate went up, meaning that the herd immunity rate went down so that measles was able to spread again, and not just become this isolated incident of something. Because it's still out there. Measles is out there. It exists in the world. It's just we have, you like in like Walking Dead? You've seen The Walking Dead? You heard of The Walking Dead, right? You've heard of zombies? Zombies is a concept. You know what zombies are? We're almost at Halloween. You should know what zombies are. Zombies? Somebody heard of zombies? Are you zombies? Are you awake? Is anybody living? Are you alive? Okay, I'm getting some living people. Not everybody's living. Some people are sleeping with their eyes open. Got it. On The Walking Dead, usually the most successful community is the ones that have some sort of wall up. Right? Because zombies are stupid and they can't climb over walls. They just go, and they rub up against it. So they bump up against the walls. So you've got like a nice wall in a community. That tends to be the more successful communities, the ones that have a fairly sizable wall because zombies are stupid. Meanwhile, we have at the southern border, I think literally they found a catapult that somebody had built, didn't they? Like somebody had built a catapult at the border to get people, and they just like showed like and they made the catapult bigger when the fence got taller. Check me on that. I might be making that up. It could have been an Onion article I saw. I don't know. I just remember seeing something about how somebody had come up with something to get over even the taller wall, and it was hilarious to me, like what they had done. Maybe even a really long ladder that just went like that when you climbed over. I don't remember. It was something silly. But essentially, the vaccinations work like a wall. It's some people at some point. Think of how stupid this is. Okay, just think about how. It's a lack of information. Some people have been inside the wall their whole life. And at one point they go, why do we have the wall? And they're like, well, it's because the zombies out there. You really believe in the zombies? Are you that stupid? Are you that gullible? Open your mind. Open your eyes. They're lying to you. And they say, well, I want my portion of the wall, I want to be exempt. So they take down their portion of the wall that's next to their house. Right, and so it opens directly into their little backyard that's like a chain link fence. Okay, and they're like, I want to be able to walk outside if I want. That's fine. I don't want to have to. And so somebody else says, yeah, me too. I want to take my little bit of the wall down. Problem is, eventually a zombie goes, hey, the big wall's down. And then one of them falls over the chain link fence out of somebody's backyard, and it infects everybody. And they're like, they're real? And that's what's going to happen when we have polio back. You know, people are going to be like, why is my kid paralyzed? I don't know, because you didn't want him to have autism, I guess. Read science. You know, don't go to Google. Read some sciencey stuff. Not moms who think they know science. Measles outbreak is a result of lack of vaccine. Would not work if just talking about vaccinations as a concept. By the way, that's one of those unshakable things for me. I mean, if you're going to talk about how climate change is not happening or vaccinations don't help, those are the two things I would stay away from. I'm not going to be very forgiving on those papers. It's just not going to work here.
As long as you show opinion. That's what you don't.
If somebody had irrefutable evidence that vaccinations didn't work, I would believe that. But I mean, I would have to see the evidence, evaluate it. And as I've gone over time in life, I've seen irrefutable evidence from my side that vaccinations work. All the arguments that people generally make, I have counters for. So I mean, unless I heard a new one, I just don't see myself changing on that idea. And I'll actually say, in fact, if somebody can find a sizable number of academic journal articles that are scholarly and peer-reviewed on the research paper that say vaccinations cause harm, you can write that paper. Good luck. because scientists agree. You know, like the thing that says 9 out of 10 dentists agree? This is a 10 of 10 scientists agree. This is one of those situations where you're just like, you're not going to find that one guy. 99 out of 100 don't agree. It's 100 out of 100 agree. And one mom who disagrees. I just don't want my kid getting needles. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I apologize if you are that person and you feel like I'm attacking you, but I'm not attacking you. I'm attacking the idea. You're not actually attached to that idea. It has nothing to do with you. It's the idea itself that's been perpetrated to you. Measles outbreak vaccinated. Not sure yet. Have a few in mind. Anybody come up with one of the things you had in mind? You wanna? I don't know why I'm asking out loud when we did it on the thing. Age change on tobacco and all other nicotine products, including the law of having to check an ID every time. Age change on tobacco. Did that happen in Texas?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that then. In fact, I'll just include it on this old one. That's the last. So age limit has changed in Texas for nicotine products to 21. But I think I heard too that my students were saying at least, that if you were 18 at the time the law was changed, you're grandfathered in. So you're still allowed to kill yourself willingly, as long as you were old enough to have the right to do so. That's good. Most likely, if it's like a new employee, right? Because they're like, it's not, your ID says, and I just can't, I need to talk to your manager. They're not, it's just me. That's probably definitely going to happen. And there might be some managers who just have an ideological difference, but it's not by law that they have to allow people who are grandfathered in. It's not a law thing. Like, they don't have to let people who are grandfathered in. Interesting. So the store can decide. They can say, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, we do that at Berkshire's. We don't.
Y'all don't? I'm guessing Walmart does.
Probably.
Don't they? Anybody work at Walmart can confirm?
Market competition.
Walmart's like, come in. But, Brookshire's is small enough they can have, things like morals.
It's like a bunch of kids that are not gonna
It's like a bunch of what?
kids. So it's something that they don't want a kid to mess up.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, you mean like the kids who work there?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah, I went to the store the other day trying to buy some Swishers and they wouldn't sell to me.
They sell these Swishers.
Oh, I'm assuming that's a nicotine product.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cigar. Yeah.
Like the little tiny thin ones.
Yeah.
There's like oh wait, I've heard that. Oh no, Swisher Sweets. Yeah, I've heard of those. Yeah, see, I'm cool. I know cool stuff. I think literally the last time I heard that was back when I was in college. Was that Swisher Sweets?
Yeah, I don't smoke tobacco though. It's bad for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Yeah. Although I'm one to talk because I'm sitting here like I drink this and like I eat like sugary foods and. Do you know that actually sugar's worse for your heart than salt is? Did you know that? But a long time ago, sugar realized what was coming because it was reading some of the scientific studies, and so they pushed real big market push. They actually helped fund some studies on salt, which guess what? Salt's not that great for you either. But there were a whole lot more studies out there on salt after sugar got away with it, because they were like, "You want to study? You want who wants that?" They're like Oprah, like who? You can have a study. You can do a study as long as it's on salt. And they were like, okay. And I imagine they just decided not to fund the studies that didn't say that salt was bad. That's where you get into like the gray areas of not having scholarly peer-reviewed journals when you just have regular academic journals. Because NRA they can fund a journal and they'd be like, yeah, we found that guns definitely kill people and they bring no benefit to society and it's really awful and we should get rid of them. And NRA's like, your funding's been revoked. we no longer want to pay for this. And they're like, what? What are you talking about? We were trying to save lives. Yeah, we're not trying to do that. We're trying to increase our organization and membership. Age limit has changed in Texas nicotine cards, so this will work. So that will definitely work. Who wants me to, because I got about 10 more minutes that I can do this before I need to show you how to find this stuff. Who wants me to open it up for just a couple more minutes because you have an idea or maybe not you have an idea, you think somebody else might have an idea, you're asking for a friend. Like, let's just open this back up for a couple more minutes. So like more ideas can be thrown onto the thing. You know, we'll just, I haven't seen any confirmation, but I'll do it anyway. Because one of the benefits is being in charge is that I'm in charge. But why, Daddy? Don't ask why, I'm the parent. I'm not really like that, by the way. It actually kind of drives my wife nuts because she's like, we're the parent. We can just say why. And I'm like, yeah, but we should explain why. She's like, but why? We're the parent. That was the whole point of becoming parents. I'm like, I know.
I remember you going on a discussion of why that's the worst thing to say. Why?
You want to know why? It's just like, to me, if in this room right now, let's say that there's one of the students in the room, everybody hates that kid, right? Everybody. Like there's everybody in the room can't stand that because they won't shut up. They always talk. And we don't have anybody in here like that, by the way. We have not had, but you know what I'm talking about. Like sometimes there's that class where there's that one kid who always says everything all the time, and the teacher tries to teach, but they can't because the kid keeps talking. And everybody hates that student. But if the teacher one day yells at that student or makes fun of that student, suddenly the climate has shifted from everybody thinking that kid to, man, that teacher's mean, you know? Because the teacher thinks they're on your side, but as soon as the teacher shows that they're willing to call out one student, maybe they'll call out me. Because it comes across as a lack of respect, I think. And it's the same way with a parent. Like if you will make decisions for your kid and then not explain what the reason behind those decisions is, it kind of communicates that maybe you don't know why you'd have it. You just want to do it. And it's my way or the highway. It's very authoritarian. It doesn't seem like it's granted it's not a democracy, but people at least want to know why decisions are being made. They feel respected when you do that. And if a kid feels respected, then they'll respect you back. Respect is given. Like it may not be the ideal relationship you wanted to have with your kids, where you felt like they weren't just going to give you respect, and respect is mine. I'm the parent. Like it just doesn't work. Like you can try, but then you're like, I have no idea why my kid got pregnant. I told him not to. I demanded respect. Well, that's why they went to dirt roads when you weren't looking, and you never told them why. But why shouldn't I learn what sex is, Daddy? Shut up and just never talk about it. And now you're pregnant.
Do as I say, not as I do. I hate that so much.
Yeah. It's a terrible, terrible thing. You're probably like, I'm glad he's not my parent. But it means that I also want a lot more evidence all the time. I'm like, Dad, can I do this? Why? You also have to be equally as evidential with me. Damn it. So much work. So it's activated. We're showing responses. Some people have thought, oh, maybe I want to add an idea. So we'll do that. Will it still add ideas live while people are on it? So I can just have it on the next screen? I'll just leave it here, and I'll put it in full screen mode, and I'll just keep coming back to it.
It just said there were 2 people that are active. I just activated mine.
Okay, so just people are active yet. Nobody's written anything yet. If anybody just wants to play on their phones while we wait for somebody to say something, that's fine too. That way the people won't feel like everybody's looking at them trying to figure out who's saying what. I actually will go get the database pulled up while we wait. Because that's going to be relevant. Not this database. What is POA? I typed in something wrong. Send money to Kenya. Oh, that's interesting. I feel like I got one of those emails. The deposed king of Kenya needs your help. If you send him $5,000, he'll send you $500,000. I haven't talked about what I've been doing. parishjc.edu, library services, quick links, library services, off-campus database. Type in your Blackboard username and password. Academic search complete. This is what we'll be going for our research papers, but we're not going here for the compare and contrast paper. We're going to opposing viewpoints. And technically speaking, if you've already seen your event, you could kind of go here, and while I'm looking at other articles, you could look at the one and see if you can find the information on the one that you want. So you go to browse issues is one way, or if you already know your event, you can type it in. Remember I told you that there is a risk of just typing it in. You probably need to go to advanced search, not just the search that's staring in the face, because it's automatically going to try to find scholarly peer-reviewed academic journal articles only. And you don't want to do that because you're looking specifically for news. There are no news articles that are scholarly and peer-reviewed. So you need to uncheck that box on the advanced search. but you do want full text documents. It's very important. In fact, you could just, if you already know you want news, limit it to news if it has document type. No, not document type. Content type? News. And then you would type in your topic. So I might just do a big one since I think it's got so much stuff in it. Immigration. And then we'll see, like, is there an immigration area? Maybe it'll tell us. Got 75,000 immigration articles. Woo! So remember I told you, very important, as you look for it this weekend, probably best to sort by newest, because it'll means that all the results you get will be sorted by date. Everybody understands, right? Like, I'm going to try to explain this again, just real quick. Your mind may not be listening to me because you're like, Google's better and I know it. Like, he's a liar. I've used Google all my life. Google's my best friend. But remember, Google's also part of the reason people think that they don't have to vaccinate. It's killing people. Because Google, this is actually scary. And do I have time to show you this? No, I don't think I do. But I can talk to you about it. There was a TED Talk with a guy, I think 8-9 years ago, called like Pariser was his name, or Palliser. But he talked about the way Google and Facebook worked 9 years ago when he had him and a friend went to Google and searched the exact same term, him and a few other friends, and saw that their search results when they searched on Google with the exact same term were completely different. They all saw completely different Google pages because it shows you what it thinks you want to see. But that's not really what our goal is here. Our goal is to see what's really there. The databases do that. The database is basically, the database actually helps you be woke, is the term I think the kids are using these days. It's hard to wake up when everybody just wants you to stay asleep. That's what Google does. It's like, no, they like sleeping. We'll just keep them there. You like napping, don't you? Just stay in your bed. Don't get up. You're happy. But if I go outside, I might, no, you don't want to exercise. Exercise is bad. Just chill where you are. Never move. You're happy there. Binge eat, get fat, die. As long as you make us some ad money. That's what they want. There's no ad money involved here. The databases, they make no money off of this other than people subscribing to it. So their goal then is to provide as much information that is as sortable as possible, because that's what they're doing. You know how Walmart on the shelf, sometimes there'll be something you really love and then it just goes away? You ever seen that? You're like, that was my soap. My soap is gone. What?
I said it went away because you said the price.
No, because I would buy it, like, literally, like, I couldn't have trouble finding it everywhere. Like, it's the problem I have with my Dr. Pepper tins. I go to Walmart and Dr. Pepper tins, they used to be everywhere. And then they went, nobody's buying this. Well, I was, a lot of it. But sometimes they'll say, the shelf space isn't worth it. We need to have 4,000 cases of regular Coca-Cola and no cases of Dr. Pepper tin. And meanwhile, there's always 4,000 cases of Coca-Cola on the shelf that nobody's buying. And then my Dr. Pepper tins aren't there. But that's all I buy. Because Walmart is selling purely based on what sells the most, ad space, shelf space. The database isn't doing that. The database is the thing that's like, you want Shasta orange, diet, 10 calorie, we'll carry it. It exists. Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, the only limitation that we do have here is that there are levels of the database, and we can't afford the most expensive level that has like all the newspapers. The amount is like absurd. Like PJC, like we're not a huge institution, but it would cost something like $1 million a year for the full database access. Like, it's insane. I made that number up completely. I just said a big number that I thought might sound scary. But I just know that most institutions, they realize they can't afford it and they don't bother. Same with Turnitin. Like, we use Safe Assign Plagiarism Checker on Blackboard because while Turnitin is slightly better, it it's too expensive for the college to afford. So if I sort by newest here, it lets me do something that Google won't let me do, which is literally have every single article they have in this entire database arranged by date. Because Google thinks, well, if he doesn't like the articles he sees, he might run away. They don't care if you run away here. They're just giving it to you. If you want to use it, use it. If you don't, don't. They're really nice people. You say, well, I just want to look at immigration stuff that happened. Let's see. What was that time when? And you can Google to find like background information, but just for the articles, you can come back to the database. Like I can say, congressman visit border detention centers, because that's something I know happened. Yeah. Members of Congress visit migrant detention centers in Texas, in El Paso. So that was on July 1st, 2019. So I can say, okay, well, I want to see only articles published from July 1st, 2019 to, and let's just do 2 days. Let's just do 2 days worth. Maybe they'll give me enough. July 2nd. Because I don't know, there could be tons of articles, or I might want a whole like week's worth of articles. It depends on how many I get. So I can say apply. Got 49 articles. That's a nice little number. Let's look through and see if there's anything useful. I also might want to, like, because I want articles I can actually use, because sometimes I might pop up, and luckily it gives you the number of words here. I want to caution you too. You might think, oh, less words, less to read, easier paper. That might sometimes be true of scholarly peer-reviewed academic journal articles that can run 40 pages long. But newspaper articles, it's like a couple of pages. Like, I mean, literally it's going to be easier to write the paper the more you have to write about. So the shorter the article, the harder the paper is to write. And I'm going to look at your article too. So I'll say, this is only like a paragraph. Like, this isn't, you shouldn't have chosen this. And that's going to be a hard fix. That's literally going to involve rewriting the paper. So it might just be worth, like this one right here, 306 words, CNN Wire, all kinds of crap here we shouldn't be doing. Like, this is not something you should do. Look how short that is. It's not so bad. Actually, there's some I've seen that are shorter. But like this one right here is like Washington Post, like 1,000 words. There we go. That's plenty to write about. Border crisis abates, outrage hits new heights. And I don't want you choosing the same paper. So maybe you'll say, maybe I'll do this. Because I know if it's on this day, it's about what they discovered in the detention centers. Child pornography, I noticed that's not even related. Again, that's Washington Post, Washington Post, Washington Post, Washington Post. Do I have anything else? Okay, New York Post. Fast takes? No. I don't know what that is. CNN Wire. New York Times. Immigration crisis is corrupting the U.S. Those are probably going to be about similar things. Supreme Court's offstage moves may matter more from tennis court Canadians. That's unrelated. Cory Booker unveils plan to use executive action to shut down inhumane immigrant detention centers. It's, again, Washington Post. But so you kind of look through all those articles you have in the options, finding what might work. I've already got a Washington Post. I'm good. Oh, but this one has, well, the toddler died. That's going to have to be something that's covered by both. And if it's not covered by both, then it's not going to work. Let's see. Elude deportation, Washington Post. A lot of Washington Post articles. Dems two-night circus, the free-for-all debates. That's a debate. That's what it's talking about there. It is our fault. Well, again, it's lots of Washington Post. Lots of Washington Post. Australian. Putin shows confusion with wordplay on liberalism. I might want to expand my days, realizing that some papers needed some time to talk about it. Sanctuary state, further something. Yeah, we might actually expand it just slightly for myself. So I'm going to close that out, that date. Now it's going to go back to 75,000 articles. But I want to see a couple of days later. I want to see, like, what's some of the fallout from this? Let's just 07/01/2019 to 07/05/2019. And I'll still get the newest articles, so I can take a look at the new stuff first. Carnage at Migrant Center in Libya? No. Washington Post, Washington Post. In fact, what are my newspapers? Can it tell me that? Document type. In fact, yeah, let's just go with full articles. So we'll get rid of all the brief ones. Maybe some editorials. That's fine. I can go with newspaper sections. Let's just go with, oh, well, that really limits it a lot. Maybe I shouldn't limit it that much. Publication title. Let me look at all of your New York Times. Well, let's check the Australian and Globe, because I've already got Washington Post, so I don't want to include that one. I've already got a New York Times article up there. I don't want to include that one. Let's go with all the rest. We'll just take a look, because I can just tell it. I just don't want to see the main ones. I want to see just the other ones, and I can totally have that option. Makes that part big, but Malaysia, medevac, laws, protesters detained and cited after trying to disrupt 4th of July parade. Nah. What I see, first person, how to end the disaster at the U.S. border, Globe and Mail, Toronto, Canada. Interesting, an outside country's perspective. They're probably going to be talking about what happened with the congressman. Let's see, do they mention the congressman? Control F, Congress. Paralyzed by distrust, waited until last week to vote additional funding. Let's see, do they have the visit here? Visit. Oh, it doesn't mention the visit. That's unfortunate. Maybe I can't use that article. To inspect prisons for rights abuses. Oh, that's interesting. That's really kind of talking about a different event. Dems debate. I may just end up going with these two as long as they seem to share that moment in common. And sometimes I might look at this and I might read it and go, oh, they don't share that event in common. They're both not talking about the visit. That sucks. And you might just go, that's really terrible. But it does require just some looking around. Like, it does require like taking a look, finding stuff, and you may feel more comfortable with Google when like you don't really care. You're like, I don't care. I'm just going to find 2 articles that mention the event and I'll be happy. And I'll make my own citations and I don't want to mess with it here. Now, you won't have that option in the research paper. When it comes to the research paper and the annotated bibliography, you'll have to use the databases, and I won't allow you to use Google. But you won't be allowed to use this database. You'll have to use another one. So this is kind of how you would approach this one, though. And if you want the article, I think you can say you download it. Yeah, you can download a copy. So I can go over here to Documents. And if I want, I can give all the details for it, like Miroff, Washington Post, is that right? As border crisis, 2019-07-02. So I've got the date, I've got the person. In fact, it's APA. I should be moving the date over here to the front. I want a breakfast sandwich. There we go. And so I can just save that there. Now I've got a PDF copy of the article. And when I pull it up, I think it's kind of like a bare bones version. Yeah, it is. And it's got the MLA citation down below, but if I want the APA, I'm going to have to tell it. I go up here to Cite, tell it I want the APA. Remember, I told you there was a certain, well, you can go back and look at the video from last week if you want to see exactly the detail for how I make that happen. But I'm going to do it real fast right now, but it's still on the video from last week. But I just say references. I do a merge paste. I get rid of everything but just the reference number and the web address. I think that's actually fine. But if you wanted to give me even more space, you could just do it like this. And I'm actually happy with that. And then do a hanging indent with a 1/2 inch, double spacing. Everything looks exactly as it should. In fact, even the capitalization is correct, which is rare. But just seeing this number, I know you got it from the Opposing Viewpoints database. So that's all I need. I don't need that huge web address. If you include the web address, that's fine. But I have the code, and that's all I really need. It'll make your citation look a little cleaner. And again, like you can see here, that I've got the news. When was this? A stunt, the Hill. Oh, that's 3 weeks ago. No, I don't want 3 weeks ago. Yeah, that's what I want. Remember, it's a Texas Tribune. So that's actually Texas. So we could actually talk about a Texas article.
I think Texas Tribune does work, doesn't it?
What now?
Texas Tribune does work.
Yeah, Texas Tribune works, yeah. Because it publishes news regularly. It's very hard on my computer. My computer's going zzz, because all the ads that are loading. But I can go over here and more or less just build my citation. Like, let's see, who wrote it? Robert Moore, Wagner. So let's see. I'm going to go in the order that they've got their names there because that's, I think, what you're supposed to do. R, even though alphabetically it puts things out of whack. Wagner, J, and DeBonis. Oh, but it says this is originally published in the Washington Post. So it's just a repeat. Okay, so I can't use Washington Post again. So goodbye. And see, that's one of the things I was telling you about, like CNN Wire. That always happens with CNN Wire, but Washington Post, I guess it happens too. They literally just say, "Hey, can we print your article?" Now that's actually a couple weeks ago. So see, there's just no real easy way. Sometimes Board of Facility conditions are unacceptable. Are they going to talk about it? Well, that's CNN. I said you can't use CNN. The Atlantic, nothing prepares you for the inhumanity of it. That's a magazine. It would work. A visit to Border Patrol from Godfrey. Okay, so this is an original article published here. They want me to subscribe. What do we got? Godfrey. I know it's about it because I literally just saw. E. 2019, July 2. Nothing prepares you for the inhumanity of it. Is that the name of the article? No. It's actually up here. House Democrats visit Texas detention centers, the Atlantic. Is that the title of the article? Do they let you cite it down below? Do they provide citation? Oh, is it an interview? Oh, it's an interview. Interviews don't count. That's not an article, it's an interview. So it's essentially just like having like a radio or a video story, just, yeah, that's not going to count. So I can't use that one either. So see, it's a tedious thing. It just takes some time. ABC News, I can't use that. Fortune, no. Reading Eagle, nope. Nope. And this is all random dates, so I just have to look for the right date in this stuff. New York Magazine. Everything we know. Is this more like a fact sheet? Like I said, you can't use fact sheets. So when they say everything we know, if they just list it as a list and they're not writing an article, it doesn't work. I know we're waiting for it to load. The databases are better, guys. Intelligencer. Let's see. Conditions in McAllen. Children had to. No, it's just kind of report. It's not a fact sheet. A lot of damn tweets though. Facebook group. Blah 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 blah. So there, I guess it's that'll work. I guess it's good enough. Steve. Matt. 2019 July 2nd. Everything we know. I'll have to correct the capitalization here in a few because that's not right. That's not right, and so on and so forth. I can't. I literally can't let myself do this. I gotta fix it. No proper noun story about. Oh no. Fixed. What do we call this? New York Magazine? Is it the New York Magazine or New York Magazine? I think it's just New York Magazine. And then it was found. I don't think I need the whole address, do I? Unless it's like very indicative of where it goes. Retrieved from. I don't want it to be clickable. There, I guess that works. So that'll work. If I read the article and I decide I want to use it, now I can. But that's, see, there's just a different concern. You're more or less just randomly looking at things on the Google. It can be done, and sometimes it can be done faster if you know how to build citations. But the databases, they're easier to use, but again, you're going to have limited newspaper options. So totally up to you which one you use. I will say, spoiler alert, for the research paper later, which I'll be assigning next Wednesday, you will not be allowed to use Google for the research paper at all. So just to warn you, so you know. Have a great day.